Fresh satellite imagery is now challenging one of Israel's central claims about the war. Independent satellite imagery providers say they have confirmed direct kinetic impacts at Ramon Air Base, a key Israeli military installation, after reports emerged that an Iranian missile scored a direct hit, despite Israeli assurances that incoming threats had been intercepted. The exact damage and target are still being assessed, but the visible evidence on the ground is what makes this significant. It has shifted the entire conversation from what Israel said happened in the sky to what the cameras can see on the surface. This matters because of what Israel had claimed. Initial official Israeli statements said incoming missile threats were completely neutralized by the regional air defense umbrella. Israeli authorities have frequently highlighted the performance of systems like Arrow, David's Sling, and Iron Dome during previous missile barrages, presenting near-total interception as proof that the homeland was protected. The message to the Israeli public and to the world has consistently been that the shield holds. That claim is now sitting directly against satellite photographs that appear to show impacts the interception narrative did not account for. The contrast is the story. On one side, official statements describing a successful defense. On the other, independent imagery showing direct impacts at a military airbase. The satellite photographs have become central to a growing question: whether the attack achieved a level of success greater than initially acknowledged. This is not Iran claiming a hit. It is commercial satellite evidence, reviewed independently, showing damage on the ground. When the visual record and the official narrative diverge this clearly, the burden shifts to the side that said everything was intercepted. And just as hopes of de-escalation were beginning to emerge, Iran widened the campaign. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced what it calls Operation Nasr, a new missile operation targeting some of Israel's most important military installations. According to the IRGC, the strikes were aimed at the Nevatim and Tel Nof air bases, two facilities central to Israeli air operations. Air defense sirens sounded across central and southern Israel as radars picked up dozens of incoming ballistic missiles. The IRGC said its missile division struck key centers within both bases, framing the operation as a direct blow to Israel's long-range strike capability. The choice of targets was deliberate. Nevatim Air Base in the southern Negev desert is the primary home for Israel's advanced F-35 stealth fighter squadrons and long-range logistics networks. Tel Nof in central Israel serves as a nerve center for combat helicopter fleets, reconnaissance assets, and electronic warfare components. By aiming at these two installations, Iran was not firing at random. It was targeting the backbone of Israel's offensive air power, the squadrons and systems that make deep strikes on Iran possible in the first place. The IRGC's stated goal was to cripple those capabilities, not just to register a response.
We did exactly as we promised. The powerful armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Army of the Islamic Republic of Iran, they have proven that at the peak of defensive and offensive readiness, they act upon what is said with speed and high precision, making the American and Zionist enemies regret their actions. In the new wave of actions against important and sensitive targets in the occupied territories, the enemy, having received heavy, targeted, intelligent, and damaging blows, experienced a successful offensive operation by the powerful forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The criminal America and the savage Zionist regime must know that a strong and proud Iran and the glorious resistance forces in the region will stand firm under any circumstances and against any threat, and will never surrender to the defeated enemies in the war. Will not surrender, and in the event of continued aggression and malice, they will be dealt with even more severely.
We cannot, under any circumstances, allow the Zionist regime or America to exploit the current situation to repeat their aggressions daily, expand their scope, and merely settle for a general statement that we remain committed to a ceasefire that they are continuously and repeatedly violating. And therefore our armed forces, the diplomatic apparatus, and all pillars of the Iranian nation and the Islamic Republic of Iran are prepared to face any situation to safeguard the country's security and national interests. Naturally, the diplomatic process that began to end an imposed war. What was the philosophy of the negotiations from the start? The philosophy of the negotiations was to end the war imposed by America and the Zionist regime against Iran. It was stated from the beginning, and the Pakistani mediator repeatedly emphasized that ending the war in Lebanon is part of the ceasefire. Well, if the very philosophy of these negotiations is to be undermined by the Zionist regime or any of the parties involved, meaning America or Israel, is undermined in any way, then naturally the diplomatic process will also be affected. Look, in our region, no one believes that any action is taken by the Zionist regime without prior coordination and cooperation with the United States. That is one. Second, we should not lose sight of the fact that the United States Department of State has explicitly stated that the main reason for imposing this war on Iran is to support the Zionist regime. This has been the official position of the United States. Third, even though, despite claims by American officials, we know that CENTCOM is fully coordinated and cooperating with the Zionist regime in both defensive and offensive areas. The positions taken by American officials, claiming they were unaware of the Zionist regime's actions regarding the attack on Lebanon, also indicate the fact that American officials themselves believed and still believe that a ceasefire in Lebanon was part of the April 8th ceasefire agreements. And it also creates the suspicion that either the Zionist regime is doing something to America, is deceiving the United States, or that there is a division of labor between the United States and the Zionist regime, which experience shows is often closer to the truths. This is not the first time that the Zionist regime, whenever it feels that a process has taken a positive turn, carries out a disruptive and sabotage action from the Americans, who at their highest levels acknowledged that both before and after the negotiations they kept, the Zionist regime officials informed of developments and are acting in full coordination with them. We hear that American officials were subjected to the Zionist regime's intelligence and security operations. This itself is another indication that the Zionist regime in no way does not believe in any diplomatic process that could lead to, is not interested in bringing a little calm to our region.